Amazon founder Jeff Bezos reportedly spent $56 million on his wedding, second marriage to Lauren Sanchez. This may fall into the category of conspicuous consumption. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On each episode of my weekly podcast, a different topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 17, Chapter 5.
Conspicuous Consumption.
Conspicuous consumption. Expenditure and consumption of luxuries on a lavish scale, usually in an attempt to enhance one's prestige and stature. As we used to say, if you got it, flaunt it. It's not just living well. It's making sure that everyone knows how well you're living. In the last few decades, with the growing disparity between the rich and the poor, the emergence of the 1%, the uber-rich, and social media's ability to promote opulence, like some expensive salt poured into the festering wound of poverty, conspicuous consumption is generally frowned upon by almost everyone, except, of course, the conspicuous consumers themselves. They continue to spend wildly, treat themselves. Jeff Bezos' $56 million wedding that actually drew protests. Like, come on already, man, $56 million on a wedding, and your second marriage at that? Isn't there a general societal rule, or a custom at least, that you low-key your second marriage? Because, it's like shooting hoops. Once you miss a couple, you don't exactly want people watching you. Try again. Almost all of these protests were in the Italian city of Venice. That is the place that Bezos and fiancée Lauren Sanchez chose for the nuptials.
Well, they say money can't buy you love, but it can buy you Venice. Almost.
It could be the event of the season, a wedding for one of the richest men in the world, but it's also stoking controversy as preparations are underway in Venice with some protesting its presence.
The couple held a welcome dinner last night, but some Venetians aren't welcoming the wedding party.
The problem is not the wedding. The problem is the system. We think that one big billionaire can't rent a city for his pleasure.
Venice, like a good part of Spain right now, has been in the news lately because the locals are, over-touristed. Listen, they understand the uniqueness and beauty of their city and area, and they get how much money it draws for local businesses. But at some point they just got weary. All the visitors disrupting the town folk. Can't have a normal life because tourists are everywhere. And when you're Venice, it's not like, everybody leaves town after the rodeo. This is year-round. It's loud, obnoxious tourists flaunting the local conventions, asking stupid questions, ordering cappuccino after 11 a.m. Can you imagine? And rolling their big fat suitcases noisily over the historic cobblestone at all hours of the day. It's just too much. So with all that, I guess Bezos and his betrothed just pushed a lot of them over the edge. Protesters, posters. They rolled out this big 300-square-foot banner with a picture of Bezos on it, and in big block letters it read, "If you can rent Venice for your wedding, you can pay more tax." Protesters actually succeeded in getting one of the wedding venues changed because they threatened to jump into the canals with these large inflatable alligators to then block the procession. I love that. This whole wedding is conspicuous consumption. Again, that's you buying a lot of shit you don't need when others need a lot of shit they can't afford to buy. Now, I'm not going to defend Bezos' wedding here. Bezos'? Anyway, his $56 million wedding, I do think it's ridiculous. But here's a few thoughts. It is conspicuous consumption, but you can't expect to be Jeff Bezos, spend $56 million on a wedding, and think, it's just going to be a quiet little affair. The word is going to get out. The networks and the paparazzi are going to show up. It's going to be shared millions of times instantly on social.
Hollywood has taken over Venice, Italy. The stars were out today for the wedding of the year.
And quite possibly the wedding of maybe the decade, even beyond that. This was a massive party.
The bazillionaire and his brand new bride married on the island of San Giorgio Maggiore, Jeff's $500 million super yacht Kourou nearby.
And the A-listers are here too.
I mean, look at this backdrop. It is absolutely beautiful. And
showcase the bride wearing a corseted high-neck lace wedding dress designed by Dolce & Gabbana.
Jeff Bezos और साफी लॉरेंस सैंचेज की पुरताई शादी की तैयारियां रूज पर हैं.
Jeff Bezos and his fiancée have made the canals and palazzos of Venice their own.
Remember last summer? The richest man in Asia threw a wedding for his son? The parties and celebrations actually went for weeks. Each was more lavish than the one before. There were pre-wedding concerts by Justin Bieber and Rihanna. Parts of Mumbai were shut down for the wedding motorcades. Dad reportedly spent hundreds of millions of dollars on his son's wedding. Never mind that that's a lot of pressure on a marriage, but, word of this got out. Bezos and his 56 mil, well, they are frugal by comparison. Hey, even though you're Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, would it be so bad to just sneak away to the justice of the peace? Get married at City Hall? Afterward, take a few friends over to Red Lobster? My treat. Well, that's crazy too. It is. My point is that somewhere between City Hall and Venice is probably what they should have done. The guest list for this affair, ridiculous. Mick Jagger, Katy Perry, Oprah, Bill Gates, Ivanka Trump, with Jared Kushner, Tom Brady, Barbara Streisand, Leonardo DiCaprio, the Queen of Jordan. I think all of the Kardashians and, most of the Jenners. The list goes on and on. Over 200 guests, and almost everybody is a somebody. Nobody is a nobody. Well over 60 private jets landed at the airport, which is another thing that pissed people off. They will all stay at very exclusive, very private hotels. Why are all these people invited? Is it true what we think, that all the rich celebrities know each other? They all belong to a club? And what do you buy Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez for a wedding gift? Are they registered anywhere? I didn't know what to get them, so I just got a card and I stuffed $100 in there. Oh, really? Did you? I only put 50. I'm so embarrassed. Hey, happy nuptials, you two crazy kids. I didn't know what to get you, so I got you an Amazon gift card. You get yourself something real nice. Here's a little background info. Jeff Bezos founded Amazon in July of 1994. He incorporated it as Cadabra, as in abracadabra. But afterward they thought Cadabra sounded too much like cadaver, which is not a good image. So then it was Amazon. It was to be an online bookstore. It started operation out of the Bezos garage. A year before that, he had married journalist Mackenzie Scott. I can't find the exact data on this, but I'm thinking that wedding came in, under 56 million. They had 4 kids, 3 sons and a daughter, aged about 22 and down. She helped build Amazon in those early days. Before meeting Bezos, Mackenzie Scott studied at Princeton under Nobel laureate Toni Morrison, who said that Scott was one of the best creative writing students she ever had. She went on to work for Morrison after college, and then while helping to build Amazon and raise a family, she also wrote 2 novels, the first of which won an American Literary Award. That's Mackenzie Scott. When she and Bezos divorced in 2019, she received 25% of all common Amazon shares. Suddenly she was worth around $36 billion personally. She immediately said she was going to give all the money away, and she's done pretty good so far, around $20 billion to charities. She'd be the opposite of conspicuous consumption. Inconspicuous donation. Oh, she also remarried a science teacher that she met at her kid's school. That only lasted about a year. She's divorced again. Mackenzie Scott Tuttle. She's almost always gone by just Mackenzie Scott. She's 55 years old. Now, that's the same age as the Bezos' new love, Lauren Sanchez. She's 55. I'm saying this in case you thought that Bezos was doing the typical white male rich guy midlife crisis thing and trading in for some much younger fling babe. And as Scott was no shrinking violet, she was no stay-at-home June Cleaver type. Well, neither is Sanchez. Lauren Sanchez is a former journalist and TV anchor. She's a licensed pilot and founder of a company called Black Ops Aviation, a company that specializes in capturing aerial footage for, film and TV. Bezos and Sanchez hooked up while both were married to other people. So Bezos didn't go younger or for the airhead model type. I guess he appreciates brains and ambition. As for Sanchez, she was previously married to an NFL player and a Hollywood talent agent. You put that together with all of her own work, she's probably doing okay for cash, even though with the engagement she's entered a new level of rich. $56 million for a wedding. How do you spend $56 million on a wedding? Well, you rent Venice, for one. Then there's a $5 million engagement ring. And then, you add invitations and catering and a DJ, and those costs run up pretty quickly. Also, in his defense, weak that it is, the average cost of a wedding in Canada is about $20,000. Go up or down a little bit, but $20,000 is a decent average. So let's say a young Canadian couple, they have good jobs, they're slightly upper middle class. $20,000 would be about 10% of what they take in a year. 10% of that they spend on a wedding. I know sometimes parents kick in and you do get cash as gifts, but still, 10%. $56 million is about 1/4,000th of what Bezos is worth, over $250 billion. So the rest of the world is spending 10%. He's spending 1/4,000th. Who is spending stupidly? Well, it's still Bezos. Because what gets lost when you start dealing with, fractions? That we're talking about millions and millions of dollars, not dozens or even hundreds. It's always amazed me what happens to people when you get into those high numbers. Their sense of values seem to get distorted. We expect the project to come in between $5 and $6 billion. Is that an accurate prediction? Because let me point something out. The difference between 5 and 6 billion is not 1. It's 1 billion. Your estimates could be off by $1,000 million. Maybe you should get a forensic accountant. So the wedding is, $50, $55, $56 million, whatever. The cloth napkins cost more than the paper. In fairness, maybe they were like any other couple. Maybe they were planning a relatively small wedding. Just family, in the backyard. Well, what if it rains? We should rent a tent. Yeah, but the price of a tent, with a few more dollars, we could rent the banquet center. Yeah, and then we'd have enough room to invite Aunt Oprah. Well, if you're going to invite Aunt Oprah, you have to invite Cousin DiCaprio. And then before you know it, you're at Venice, the Kardashians, $56 million. Could have happened that way. I really don't know how to feel lately about Biff Jesus. That's what I call Jeff Bezos. On one hand, all right, man, you earned it. You saw an opportunity, you took a risk, worked hard, no doubt, and you earned multi-generational wealth in about half of your lifetime. And you're still young enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So who am I to say how you spend it? None of my business. On the other hand, conspicuous consumption. Not just him, but so many rich people. I'm just saying, have a mansion, have 3. But do you need 5? Have an expensive car. Have 5. Do you need 10? Have a lavish wedding. $10 million. But 56? Not everything has to be gold-plated and diamond-encrusted. Bezos did vow to give away $10 billion of his dollars to battle climate change. And that was before all of those private jets landed for his wedding. And, he also explodes rocket fuel on a regular basis so that, William Shatner and Katy Perry can go to the edge of space. On that Katy Perry flight also was Lauren Sanchez. I guess that was an engagement gift to the fiancé that only Bezos could give. And I wonder if just before launch, Bezos turned to his future bride and said, "To the moon, Alice, to the moon." Because, that would have been funny. Lauren Sanchez has a category on her Wikipedia page called philanthropy. I imagine she put it there. You know what the lead item is on her philanthropy? She's vice chair of Jeff's climate change charity. And maybe they help more people than we know of. But if you start searching through lists of the most philanthropic rich people, their names don't really come up. Taylor Swift does. Dolly Parton for sure. Hell, even Bill Gates recently vowed to give away all of his billions in his lifetime. Bezos, meanwhile, threw himself an ostentatious wedding. And where is it written that as soon as you make a lot of money, you're obligated to help the less privileged? Well, the Bible, for one, and, many a socialist manifesto, but maybe you don't read any of those books or believe in them. A lot of people think, though, that just makes common sense, that it's the right thing to do. And I was wondering, if you rent Venice for your wedding, where would you honeymoon? Where do you go after that? Maybe you just stay in, put on your jammies, and order a pizza. And maybe they and others like them are not trying to be conspicuous. Maybe that's on us. Even back in the day, we were the ones that bought the maps to the stars' homes. We just wanted a glimpse. We just wanted to see how the other half lives. When regular TV was popular, every week this came into our home.
Don't miss a sizzling second of the all-new lifestyles of the rich and famous. Television's unchallenged authority on fame and fortune delivers big surprises, bigger stories, and the biggest names. Candid confessions from the stars of show business and big business, plus intimate tours of the world's most luxurious homes. Seeing is believing, so get ready to party hardy with all your favorite stars on the all-new Lifestyles.
Sunday night at 8 on Channel 9.
Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, i.e. the conspicuous consumption is for our benefit. The rich and famous, their wealth and celebrity is its own industry. They're the product, we're the consumer. We expect them to look and act in a certain way. We want to get an idea of what it's like. So their conspicuous consumption is for our benefit. So the lifestyle is promoted to keep the TikTok machine running. Yeah, maybe. But this is no longer, visiting Hollywood on a vacation or Robin Leach in our living rooms once a week. This is on our phone. This is in our face every day. It's too much conspicuous consumption. The shows of wealth. Hey, we all like putting on the Ritz every once in a while, but most of us can't afford to buy the Ritz. The other thing about flaunting wealth is that somebody is ready to take it from you, perhaps even at gunpoint. Yeah, I'm talking home invasions and carjackings. If you were rich enough to have a big house and a bunch of expensive cars, you'd better be rich enough to have a lot of security. Even then, organized gangs target the rich and famous. Have you heard these stories? Basically, there's a guy who poses as a gardener or a delivery person and he cases the neighborhood. Then they Google map their way in and their way out. Another guy figures out on social media that the movie star is away promoting a movie and the quarterback is out of town at an away game. Day of, they have a guy on lookout. 2 guys go in. Another guy makes sure that all the local Wi-Fi is blocked so that no signal can reach the security company. They're in and out in minutes. Some say these guys can fence the goods and get the cash into a foreign bank account before the cops even arrive at the scene of the crime. I'll tell you, if I was really rich, I'd spend more money keeping myself inconspicuous. Even then, I'd have a lot of security. And if I ever had to drive myself somewhere, it would be in a 2009 Camry with rust spots. And if we're going to be honest, we just don't know how we would act if we were burdened with extreme wealth. You see, poverty and altruism make a better couple than wealth and generosity, at least historically so far. I always think that if I had a lot of money, I would give away a lot of money. But would I? Yeah, sure I would, I think. Likely. Maybe.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.